you're watching the news on African Free Press Television. My name is Leo Oketa.
And I am Bridget Okudili.
These are the stories we're tracking for you at this moment. Magistrate of the Chief Magistrate Court, Wuse Zone 2, Abuja, Shuaibu Usman, today discharged the Director of Radio Biafra and leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, on all counts of criminal conspiracy and ownership of an unlawful society brought against him by the federal government. After holding that the government had dropped the charges against Kanu, the judge ruled the accused person is hereby discharged and the case struck out. The government, through its agent, the Department of State Services (DSS), had elected to withdraw the case at the lower court for a higher court, which has jurisdiction to entertain charges bordering on terrorism, to take over. Usman was scheduled to deliver judgment on the application of the DSS on December 1st, but he put it off until December 16th. The DSS has held Kanu for at least 90 days, despite an order of the magistrate court granting him bail in October. After the lower courts granted him bail, the DSS got an order of the Federal High Court Abuja to keep the leader of the IPOB in detention.
Meanwhile, a three-man Court of Appeal panel sitting in Abuja has struck out the appeal of Nyesom Wike, seeking a dismissal of the judgment of the Rivers Election Petition Tribunal, which sacked him as governor of the state. In a 110-page ruling delivered by Justice M.B. Dongban Mensem, the court ruled that the election of Nyesom Wike did not conform to the Electoral Act. The court has ordered a rerun in 90 days. In delivering a final ruling, the Court of Appeal decided all the 7 issues raised by Governor Wike against in favor of Dakuku, Peterside, and the All Progressive Congress Party. Recall that on Saturday, October the 24th, the tribunal had held that Wike was not duly elected governor of Rivers State. It ruled that a fresh election be held in the state within 90 days. But Wike appealed against the judgment, insisting that he was duly elected governor of the state. The committee was mandated by the House to investigate the current impasses in the telecommunications sector.
And meanwhile, the presidency has denied reports on social media that President Muhammadu Buhari received $300,000 and up to 5 armored sports utility vehicle SUVs from the Office of the National Security Advisor in the aftermath of the attack on his convoy in Kaduna State last year. It said what Buhari got was 1 armored SUV and 1 untreated SUV after the attack, but were his normal entitlements as a former head of state under the remuneration of former presidents and heads of state decree of 1999. Buhari's special advisor on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, in a statement said the president did not accept a questionable monetary compensation from former President Goodluck Jonathan.
Still in line, Mohammed Sanusi II, the Emir of Kano, has denied reports that he gave 40 billion naira in donations to the Office of the National Security Advisor while he was governor of Central Bank of Nigeria. Contacted by newsmen to react to the allegation that he gave the former NSA, Sambo Dasuki, cash donations before he left office, Sanusi II said it is completely untrue. He went further to state that he understands the laws of money laundering as a criminal offense, and as the chief regulator of Central Bank, he was charged with ensuring the institution puts an end to money laundering. The Emir noted that this is partly why they started the Cashless Nigeria project and why he started the BVN project. He vehemently said he would never authorize that amount of cash to be moved to the office of the NSA or to anyone, even if it was in their account. He also denied reports that he was being considered for questioning by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) with regards to the alleged disbursements.
And the former National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired. A former governor of Sokoto State, Atahiro Bafarawa, and ex-minister of State for Finance, Bashar Yuguda, were yesterday remanded in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), pending the hearing and determination of their bail applications today. They were arraigned before Justice Peter Afen of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, money laundering allegations and criminal breach of trust of 19 billion naira. Also docked by the EFCC on a 22-count charge of fraud and money laundering are Shuaibu Salisu, a former director of finance at the NSA office, Bafarawa's son Sage, and Dal Hatu Investments Limited. They all pleaded not guilty to all the charges. but hearing on their bail applications was adjourned till today. The court ordered their remand in the EFCC custody. Justice Afen had on Monday granted leave for the EFCC to prefer charges against the accused persons and their companies after holding that the proof of evidence has established a prima facie case against them.
Meanwhile, the former Nigerian Minister of Petroleum, Mrs. Denziani Alison Madueke, has strongly stated that all transactions made during her tenure went through due process. As against insinuations that she looted $20 billion, she made this known in London during an interview session with the CEO of Ovation magazine, Mr. Dele Momodu. Mrs. Madueke explained that virtually all the transactions in respect of which allegations of corruption are being leveled against her went through due process, and that the group managing director of NNPC was actively involved in ensuring the best international practices were maintained. She added that her involvement in the conclusion of these transactions was limited and that some of the contracts had been executed before she became Minister of Petroleum Resources. She noted that in some other cases, she only got details after the contract had been concluded when approached by some businessmen who complained about the terms. She usually admonished them to forego the contract if they felt they were not profitable and seek other ventures within the industry.
And now on the foreign scene, Saudi Arabia announced to the world on Tuesday that 34 nations have agreed to form a new Islamic military alliance, combining some of the largest Muslim military forces around the world under a joint operations center based in the kingdom's capital, Riyadh. The alliance is reportedly designed to help fight extremism and terrorism in the region, but its list of members is raising serious concerns among security experts, as some of the countries involved have known links to terror groups, and a military build-up among these nations could end up benefiting terror organizations, including in the massive alliance. For example, is Sudan, which has been listed by the U.S. State Department as a state sponsor of terrorism for the past 22 years. The country is known to support and even finance the terror group Hamas.
Still on the foreign scene, Republican presidential hopefuls sparred over how to stop the so-called Islamic State, ISIS, in the first debate since attacks in California and Paris. The national security focus yielded heated exchanges between Senators Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, who clashed on surveillance and immigration policy. Jeb Bush also sought to revive his struggling campaign by forcefully attacking frontrunner Donald Trump. Mr. Trump was on the defensive earlier in the debate for his proposed ban on Muslims entering the U.S., saying, "We are not talking about religion, we are talking about security." However, the debate quickly expanded to broader issues of foreign policy and national security. The candidates repeatedly addressed heightened fears of terrorism in the U.S. on the same day as email threats shut down Los Angeles school system.
And now in sports, Chelsea's player Cesc Fabregas says players need to justify their big wages and start playing like big players. The floundering Premier League champions are only 1 point above the relegation zone after Monday's 9th defeat of the season at Leicester. After the game, boss Jose Mourinho said his work was betrayed by his players. Chelsea are 16th with only 15 points following the defeat by table-topping Leicester. In Premier League history, when teams have had 15 points from 16 games, they have finished on average in 17th position, 1 place above the drop zone. Mourinho says he does not believe the Stamford Bridge club are in a relegation battle. These are the stories we're tracking for you this evening on African Free Press Television. For more, please do log on to our website at www.africanfreepress.com. Follow us on Twitter at African Free Press. Like our Facebook page at African Free Press. Do join us in our discussions on various interesting topics on African Free Press Forum, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at African Free Press. I am Leo Oketa.
And I am Bridget Okwudili.
Do have a good night.
So, happy.